Welcome back, guys. My name is Amanda. For those of you that have not been here before, for those of you who've returned, welcome back. So today we're working on some white dinner rolls or white bread rolls, and I've got to do two batches. This batch I've already started, but I will go back through the process of what I'm doing and how I've gotten to this stage. The reason being, I've got a bunch of chicken burger patties that are cooking in the oven at the moment, so the request is for chicken burgers today. Once again, continuing with the pantry challenge and only using products that are already on the shelves. So I've made my dough. It's proofed for about an hour and a half, actually a little bit longer than normal, but it's cool here, so that's okay. I've weighed out all of my sections of bread. These are 100 grams, and now I'm just going to roll them again for the final time. These ones have been done. Just going to roll this one for the final time. So just bringing the bread dough over onto itself, so you end up with a nice smooth surface. And once we've gotten it all to the middle, just giving it a pinch, tiny bit of flour on the surface, and then rolling the dough back over onto itself just to seal it back up again, and then it's ready to proof. So we've got our little dinner roll, or these will be bread rolls because they are 100 grams, and then I'm going to do some bacon and cheese rolls with the next lot of bread dough that I'm going to make up now. So these will just all go onto baking trays ready to proof until they've risen again while the chicken burgers are cooking in the oven. So I've got the 12 on the tray. I want them to join up together as they bake and then be pulled apart as normal. Okay, onto the dough. So we're going to use coconut cream, and I need 200 grams. So I'm weighing everything, not measuring. So I need 200 grams, or about half a can. And that includes the coconut milk that's mixed in with the coconut cream. To that I need 10 grams of active instant yeast, and I need 200 mils of quite warm water. So 10 grams of yeast, half a teaspoon of salt, and about 15 grams of sugar. So 15 grams of sugar equals about a tablespoon of sugar, which is all I normally add to the mix. Now my kettle's just boiled, so I'm just going to go cool that water down to add 200 grams of water. Okay, so I need 200 of that. Of the warm water. And then I just need 40 mils of oil, or whatever your oil you use. I'm going to use avocado oil, and then about 700 grams of flour. So I've added the oil along with the warm water, and now it's just the 700 grams or so of flour, and then we're going to knead this for 5 minutes. So after 5 minutes of kneading with the dough hook, it's ready to be covered, and let it sit for another hour until it's ready to turn into the bacon and cheese scrolls this time. So while the second batch is proofing, we'll move on to the first batch. First batch of bread rolls, I'll take them out. They've been keeping warm and they've proofed in the oven, so now I can bring them out, and I'm just going to brush them with some milk and then bake them at 200 degrees for about 20 minutes. I'll put some sesames over the top as well. I've got an all bagel mix, that'll do, over the top. Okay, beautiful bread rolls out of the oven, lovely and soft. Ready for the chicken burgers to go on top. So I've made up 7 at the moment. I've got more in the oven of the chicken burgers. These are devil chicken crumbed patties. Purchased them on sale from the outlet. I paid $30 for 3 kilos, so $10 a kilo, and each of these patties are about 80 grams. Between 60 and 80 grams, 60 for the smaller ones, 80 for the breast ones. So between 60 and 80 cents per burger patty plus the burger roll. So making a chicken burger for about $1.20, $1.30 a burger. Not bad. Okay, onto the bacon and cheese rolls instead. Alright, so the first lot of bread rolls have baked, and that's given this lot time to proof. So this is the second batch of dough, which is now ready. And bacon and cheese. So 120 grams of cheese, 250 grams of bacon. Combined, that comes to $2.70, $3.70 for those ingredients, not including the dough. And let's see how many bacon and cheese rolls we can get, because they are quite expensive. So once again, I'm just going to knock it out onto the silicone baking tray. This is a much firmer dough than the English muffin dough, so it's a lot easier to work with. Okay, just onto the floured surface. I'm just going to basically just flatten this right out as much as I can so that it's evenly distributed, but sort of to the shape of a pizza dough, I guess, or a large focaccia. And then we're going to add the bacon and cheese topping to it. Like I said, it's a much firmer dough, so it's easier to work with. You could roll it out if you wanted to. I'm not going to be that precise. And by using fingers and pushing it out, you're not going to knock out all the air. We're going to proof this again anyway. The other thing, we're going to add a little bit of oil to this as well, because it can be a little bit on the drier side. So I've got some fresh butter, garlic butter that I made, garlic and herb butter that I made a couple of days ago that's in the fridge. So I might actually just grab that as well and add some pockets of the butter to this, and then we'll roll this all up. Spread out pretty well. Alright, let me go find the herb butter. Okay, so when I was making the garlic butter a few days ago, this is the resulting garlic butter. So I'm just going to pop that on to the bread as well. I've just put it in the microwave for a couple of seconds just to soften it, 'cause it's straight out of the fridge. So I just want pockets of the garlic butter throughout. And then we're going to roll all this up and slice it up, and then let it rise once more, proof another time, before it will then go back into the oven as well. Okay. Now onto the bacon and cheese topping. Yeah, because everybody loves bacon and cheese toppings. So these are basically going to be bacon and cheese scrolls, I guess. Okay. So that's 350 grams of topping, 250 of bacon, and just over 100 grams of the cheese. It's a mozzarella, a cheddar, and a parmesan. Alright, so all I've got to do now is just working from one corner all the way across. I'm going to wrap it all up. This way all the cheese is contained and it won't spill out while it cooks. And we're going to slice all this up afterwards as well into rolls. So I'm just rolling up my edges to start with. I'm sure there's people out there that do this a lot better than I do. And then rolling. I'm not going to win any awards for the most beautiful looking scrolls, but the guys love it. Tastes really good, and that's all that matters at the end of the day. Alright. Now the oven is preheating, obviously, because I've just finished one batch of rolls. This should give me another dozen. So I'm going to start in the center. And then divide it all up evenly. Like so. 12 individual little scrolls, which should equal just over 100 grams each. Again, onto a tray, ready to proof for a second time. I want to put them reasonably close together because I want them to join together like a pull apart this time around. So just as I'm separating them, just going to turn them over and give them a good little squash together, just to compress them a little bit more. And like I said, these are going to rise for another probably half an hour or so until they're ready to go into the oven and then get baked. Now I can glaze them again if I wanted to. I don't think they're going to need it. We've got that beautiful garlic butter, herb butter in them as well, so they'll all form together nicely on the tray. So in keeping with that garlic butter that's inside them, I'm just going to give the tops a brush as well, and then let these sit. It'll give me a chance now to go back and do the second lot of chicken burgers as well. So that'll be the buffalo burger. So the contents of these rolls have cost me $3.70 plus the flour, etc. So we're looking at about $5 for all of this, for these 12. So if I was to go down to Costco, which is pretty cheap, and buy their cheese and bacon pull-aparts, they're $13 for basically the same amount. So it's about half price. This is why it's obviously better to and cheaper to make it on oneself, and more economical, and helps with keeping the food budget right down. Now these, once they've been cooked, can easily be frozen individually for quick snacks and for lunches throughout the week. So that's part 2 completed. I'm going to let them rise now and go back to the next lot of chicken burgers. Okay, first 12 chicken burgers have been finished. I've just got to put some cheese on them. They've just requested as well, and sauce, and they're done. So that's lunch done for the guys, and maybe dinner if I'm lucky. And the bacon and cheese rolls will be good for the working week for their lunches as well as breakfasts. Onto the baking stage. So the bacon and cheese scrolls have been proofing in the oven because it's still quite cold here at the moment. Almost ready to take out and preheat this oven back to 200 degrees, and then I'll bake them for another 20 minutes as well. Okay, second proof has been done, been about half an hour or so in the warm oven. Just going to preheat the oven for 10 minutes before putting these in place. I'm going to bake them at 200 for about 20 minutes until they're nice and golden and crispy. So with the increased cost of living expenses, especially when it comes to groceries, I am finding that it's much cheaper and economical to do a grocery shop every 3 months. It's coming up to, we've done 2 months already. I've been out to Inghams factory outlet and purchased a bunch of items as well this week. So I went out to Inghams, like I said. They had the large trays of chicken breasts, and they have boxes of, everything's bulk out there, so you've got to buy large quantities. But they had boxes of 8 of these trays. These are about 1.8 to 2 kilo trays, and they were 8 trays for $65. So that worked out to be about $7 a kilo for chicken breasts. They also had the chicken leg meat, and these are 600 gram trays, and there was 8 trays in a box, I think. Yeah, 8 trays of these, and that was $35 for the 8 trays, and like I said, they're about 600 grams for $35. They also had boxes of Inghams devil chicken breasts. There's 3 of these 1 kilo packets in the box. No, there was 5 of them, and it was $40, so that's $8 per kilo for the 1 kilo packs. It's different every time you go out. So it's not just what's advertised as well. Inghams factory outlet is located at Lytton in Brisbane. So it's a bit of a track for us. We don't do it often, once every 6 months, and fill the freezer with chicken products, whole chickens, as well as kebabs, chicken breast, chicken thigh fillets, chicken cutlets as well. The kebabs are $20 for a box, and you get 6 trays normally in a box, 6 to 8 trays depending. I ended up with a large box of the honey soy, so it was 11 trays of these honey and soy ones for $37. Yeah, $37 for the box with 11 of these honey soy kebabs. And the satay kebabs, there was 6 trays in those, and that was $20 for the satay kebabs as well. So the freezer is jammed. This is a poultry freezer mostly, and cheese, but mostly just poultry. So everything in here is chicken, which is great because it's full. So I definitely do not need to buy any more chicken. Back to those bread rolls that I'm making. They're ready to go in the oven. So buying from a factory outlet definitely reduces the cost of living, and it means that we only have to purchase once every 6 months, I'd say, 6 months if not longer. Today was a little bit more expensive than normal, so $350 is all I've spent today, and that's actually all I've spent since the middle of June. June 20 something was the last time I did a grocery shop. We're now in August. So technically I don't need to do a grocery shop. The freezers were ample stocked. I would love to be going down and perhaps getting some strawberries at this time of year because they're seasonal and I am running low. You can see the spaces that has happened in the last few weeks. The strawberry jam is disappearing pretty quickly. I do have some whole strawberries though, but not enough to make, a lot less strawberry jam than I thought. 2 jars of strawberry jam and 2 whole strawberries. Strawberries grow seasonally here in the Redlands and it is strawberry season. We've just gone through the Echo Show period and bulk amount of strawberries has been sold, and so the market is now flooded with strawberries, and so they're quite cheap. I can get them for about $2 a kilo directly from the farm. I can get them for less than that if I choose to go and pick them. So I might go and do some picking of strawberries from down at the local farm. It's not kind of breaking my pantry challenge rules. And I might do some swapping with the farmer who I know and might take him some produce from the garden in exchange for said strawberries. So I'll probably come back with 1 or 2 flats, so 5 to 10 kilos, 10 kilos if I'm really lucky. Might get down there early enough to do that. All right, the bacon and cheese scrolls are currently cooking in the oven. Otherwise, to save the money, other than canning all our own items and buying in bulk, everything I do purchase, I try to purchase in bulk, but I do compare the 100-gram serving size in comparison, because just buying in bulk sometimes is not always cheaper. Sometimes you can buy the items for less. Like the tomatoes, for example, 2.5 kilos of tomatoes. These cans were leftovers from a commercial kitchen that had closed down. So I've got tomato paste as well as whole chunky crushed tomatoes. Now, they've cost me $3 a can for 2.5 kilos, but they are processed, which means I don't have to cook them, clean them, or do anything like that. But they are ready now for me to now turn into meals, which is really good. Now, we grow our own fruit and veggies, most of them, so we grow our own pumpkins. So I've got some pumpkins that I've stored, or butternut squash, and they're not a long storing pumpkin, so I will have to turn them into something soon. The onions, this is the last of the 20 odd kilos that we had in store from the garden, so they'll process today. I might have to put them in the dehydrator and turn them into onion powder. So other than the freezers, which are pretty full, it's a stock standard pantry, generally speaking. It's just items that are used to make other meals. Yes, my spices are in bulk, and I do purchase meat in bulk, but I only do that a couple of times a year. The rest of the times I don't have to go shopping because we grow our own fresh produce, or we're using what's already here. I did the Inghams run because of the sales that they had on certain items like the chicken leg meat as well as the chicken breasts, and I really wanted the southern fried chicken burgers. So the southern fried chicken burgers, I've been hunting them for several weeks and hadn't gone down and picked them up because of the pantry challenge. That it saves me having to bread the chicken that we've got here and add all the spices to create the chicken burgers for the guys that, although we're all on the pantry challenge essentially, because they don't get anything unless I'm making it, and so I would have to make them the chicken burgers, and I really wasn't in the mood to do that. We're now coming into spring. We have sunshine outside, which is lovely, and blue skies. We are coming into spring, which means it's going to get really busy here on the farm pretty quickly. So there's lots of jobs that need to be done that have all been put off because of winter, and during winter I stay inside most of the time because of the temperatures. But now winter is over and spring is almost here in a couple more weeks. Things get really busy, so lots to plant in the garden, and I've been getting garden beds prepped for that. But behind me is where one of the stables is, back there through that window. One of the stables, and the excavator's working down there at the moment, doing a big muck up, so there'll be several ute loads of that going out the front. We also have poultry coming, and we've got pens that need to be organised as well, to allow for the poultry to come. So And also the front of the property is my nursery, and all of that area, as well as all the livestock down the back. But the front area in the nursery has not been so much as looked at for 3 months, and so there are literally thousands and thousands of plants that need to be repotted as well. So I've got a lot of work to do out there, as well as all the general maintenance. Now, before the trees here, which are mostly deciduous, regain their growth in spring, we have a lot of lopping that needs to be done. It was done a couple of years ago. It's due to be done again. And so the husband has been taking out a few trees in the last couple of days that had been damaged during the cyclone here 6 months ago. And so those trees finally have been felled and now will be all split, chopped up and put down into firewood area and allowed to dry out for the next couple of years. Meanwhile, the old firewood needs to be brought up to the house. So there's always something to be doing here, but especially spring and summer, not inside. We live outside, so we have a lot to do. So as much of what I can get done behind me gets done over the winter period, and that gives me a big break come summer. And they're looking lovely. Oh, beautiful. All right, guys will like them. All right, I'll come back when they're cooked. Okay, 15 minutes, 200 degrees, and they look amazing. They smell amazing. Okay, so that is ham and cheese scrolls. There are 12 of them. They've cost me about $5, $6 at most to make it, because it's 20 cents to make each of the dough for each one. Each 100 grams 20 cents, and it was $3.50, so 55 cents each. It's not bad. Okay, that's how I go about saving a little bit of money, and nobody's missing out on any of their favourite treats. Okay, thanks so much. Bye now. So the burgers, chicken burgers, you're looking about $1.20 to $1.50 each, and our scrolls, again, about 55, 60 cents at the most for those as well. So quite easy to keep our meals under the $2 a mark. One of these are huge. One of these would be more than enough as a meal with one of those, or two of those even. All right. And on to the next job. So I've been dehydrating mushrooms. Finished doing that this week as well, and there are several jars now of mushroom powder, as well as the green onion powder, green onions, some more mushroom powder, dried garlic powder, dried garlic granules, celery powder from the garden. Reminds me I need to go and get some more celery, and some bay leaves as well. These are our bay leaves. They come from our bay tree out the front, which is a really easy tree to grow. These are perfect to add to all of the dry stores to keep any bugs and anything out of the containers that contain the flowers or rice, etc. I've got a 25 kilo bag of sugar that needs to be sorted as well. So that's my next job, 25 kilos of sugar to sort. It sounds like a lot, but it's a couple of years worth. So I need to go find that bag and sort it out. And that's the alarm going off, so these can now dry and cool down before they can be individually bagged up and popped in the freezer. Alright, thanks guys, bye.